everything. I thought it was interesting to talk to Alfred Liggins yesterday. I give him credit for coming on, but I do want to be fair and let everybody speak who has a stake in this. And some of these charitable groups that depend, I mean, a lot of their funding, maybe not all their funding, comes from their bingo games and charitable gaming. And could the casino just crush them? Chuck Lessin is the former chair of the Virginia Gaming Board, and he's the legislative director of the Virginia Charitable Bingo Association. And Chuck saw him and said, to talk to him, and he said, can I come on and make my case, I guess, against the casino? Chuck, good morning to you. Tell me where you stand on this.
Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad you're with us.
Thank you for having me. Yes, John, our charity operates a charitable gaming facility in the south of Richmond, and one of our tenants has filed suit against the city of Richmond, which is essentially alleging that the Virginia Constitution prohibits sweetheart deals, and my charity believes that the mayor and the city council have positively violated that prohibition. Their responsibility, John, was to represent and to vet any and all applicants for the available casino license. And we think in this case, the citizens of Richmond are forced to watch as the mayor and the city council simply handed this casino opportunity to their favorite and chosen entity.
So what could happen with this court case? This wouldn't disqualify or stop the vote on the casino just as a general idea, or would it?
Well, frankly, if the charity is victorious in its case, then even a yes vote could turn out to be a no vote. In other words, even if on the November 7th vote comes out as yes, a yes vote does not have the authority or the weight to supersede the Virginia Constitution. And we believe that the way that this opportunity was awarded to Urban One and their new partner, Churchill Downs, we believe that it absolutely does violate the Constitution, and think that a court will state the same.
What's the timetable for the court to adjudicate this?
Well, the appeal was filed Wednesday afternoon of this week, and the clerk has 40 days to have the filing in place and pick court dates. It certainly will happen after November the 7th. But we certainly, the charities across the Commonwealth have really never fought any type of competitive gaming, but this has become such a contentious issue. The charities are really being squeezed out of their own space. Last year in America, there were billions of dollars wagered across America, and 1.84% of that is attributed to charitable gaming. And the casinos and sportsbook and these gray skill games, et cetera, have all made their public statements that 1.84% that belongs to the charity shouldn't, and they want it all. And I have represented over 400 charities for nearly 40 years in the Commonwealth, and I am not going to stand by and roll over. I believe there was room for everybody, but sort of the bigger operators don't see it that way.
So walk me through, just so I understand, the process for this second vote, because it got mired in the General Assembly about whether there would be a vote, but I guess that issue is carved out from the decision by the city, I suppose, to pick this group: Alfred Liggins, Urban One, and now Churchill Downs. So what actually occurred when they made that choice? I'm trying to remember the details of how that was reaffirmed, because they were the first choice. For our audience that remembers the first vote 2 years ago, they were the first choice, and the whole pitch was a little different than it is now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. The fact is that the political elites in Richmond gave Richmond a second chance to have a second vote, which to many of us that live in the city find it just unconscionable. We thought that no meant no, And again, a handful of people in Richmond said, well, maybe not. So Richmond got this second opportunity. But the second opportunity did not void out the requirements that were set down initially, which is there's something called the Virginia Procurement Act.
Right.
Any time a license is offered, a license of value, and some have argued that this license could be the most valuable license ever presented to any entity in Virginia. Yeah. Anytime a license is offered, you have to go through a process. And the first time, the city did go through a process, and people spoke, and they picked Urban One and their partner, Colonial Downs. But as most of us know in Richmond now, that partnership is not the same. Colonial Downs sold itself to Churchill Downs, and it is a completely different entity. Mm-hmm. And at no time did the city open that up for conversation and say, okay, let's evaluate this new partnership and see if they meet the criteria set forth by the General Assembly. Yeah. And at the same time we're evaluating that, we'll have a hearing, and we'll let folks from both sides, those that are for and against the casino, speak. But the city elected not to do that. And in the opinion of our charities, the city has abdicated its resposition.
Do you think it's all frankly, politics? You think the council and specifically LeVar Stoney or I don't want to accuse somebody of something that I couldn't prove, but I just ask you, you think they're on the take here? Is there something shady about this, or are they just overzealous?
What I would say, John, is that, and I've listened to others on your show speak to the political elites. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be cynical, but I used to think that we brought in industry and we looked for new tax revenue so we could have more roads and better schools, and I'm not sure that's the case. It seems to be that everyone elected is looking to fund their own campaigns, and people get elected, and the day they're elected, they're already fundraising for their next campaign. Yeah. And there are many people in Richmond and north of Richmond that are behaving just that way. These casinos, sportsbook, gray games are bringing in millions of dollars of political donations, and it literally is swaying votes and crushing an entire industry, the charitable gaming industry, that, by the way, existed decades before the Virginia lottery even came.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you sharing your perspective on it, and we'll stay in touch. Please give me an update if you hear more from the court. It's Chuck Lessin, the former chair of the Virginia Gaming Board and legislative director now of the Virginia Charitable Bingo Association. Chuck, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
All right.